Welcome to the TDC Today Show communities. My name is Sue Roscoff. The Disability Channel, or TDC, is out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, showcasing abilities. Welcome to the TDC Today Show communities. And fixing my sound in the background here. I hope that's not coming through on your end, but I had a little echo going on here.
I heard it too, yeah.
You did hear? Okay, I will clip that all. The Disability Channel, or TDC, is out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, showcasing abilities. TDC is committed to providing quality digital media production services, education, and employment programs by and for persons with disabilities and veterans. TDC offers digital media production, video production, post-production, social media, and podcast creation, production, and support. TDC offers education and employment programming, which includes digital media courses to persons with disabilities who are unemployed and underemployed. TDC also offers community partnerships. Through partnerships and sponsorships, community partners and organizations become ability champions by supporting media created by and for people with disabilities and veterans. We are your USA team. I am so excited to be sharing some friends with you this evening, and one is a friend that you all know and love. Mr. Alan Holmes is joining us, and I'm so glad you are here. How are you today?
Oh, well, good evening, good morning for those who are listening on the recording, and good afternoon, wherever you may be. No, this is Alan Holmes, Master Connector. How are you, Sue? How are you?
I
Good
am
evening.
amazing tonight.
All right, all righty. What do you need to know? What would you like to know? I'm just hanging out.
So I know you have a show that you produce. You would have had just this morning, I believe. So tell us a little bit about your show.
Oh, yes, the Master of Connections. You may have heard it. It is actually was powered by the brainchild of Mr. Kurt Roscoff. I see him over there hanging over in the corner, along with Emily Gomer. As the Master of Connections, we have amazing guests. We never know who we're going to meet. And today we actually had the gentleman, Todd Linger, just Karen's. Karen's Corner was I believe, in Kurt's, well, he'll correct me if I'm getting the name, but it's a foundation, the nonprofit, to really address the seriousness of teenagers and drugs, and to prevent them for it. And it was based on his family that tragically lost their life because of a drunk driver, but it was very it was emotional, but it was educational. And this gentleman, Todd, is just an amazing soul. So listen to the replay of it. We got some very educational lessons and life's lessons and supportive. But yeah, that's what the Massive Connections are. We also had the week before No Card, which is Rob Pickering, who created No Card. And it's a kind of a hub of who I am as a master connector, because I have access to, or we have access to, various different resources. And again, Mr. Kurt Roscoff, thank you for your introducing me to No Card, part of No Card 360. And if you see No Card 360 and or nocard.app/master connector, you may see a familiar face on there. That was the brainchild of Mr. Rob Pickering. It talks about who I am and introduces me into the world of the collaborative connecting and networking, what I do. But I don't want to hog up the spotlight, as you say. Thank you for, or as they say it in the world, because you have an amazing gift. I just met her in the green room, somewhere floating around the North Carolina area. I believe her name is Edie. So I'm gonna stop talking, and I'm gonna give it back to you, Miss Sue Roscoff. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your amazing world today. Emily, love you, young lady. Thanks for being boss lady. I know she sees me. Okay, back to you, Sue. I'm sorry, I get sidetracked. Yeah, go ahead.
Awesome. Alan, thank you so much for being here as always. I appreciate you so much. And I know I have Edie Raether in the background, but I think I'm going to go ahead and bring Kurt in so he can be part of this conversation as we bring Edie in just a moment. Kurt, why don't you come on in and say hello? And I'm I hope that you will be, well, I know you will be enjoying Edie as much as I have. She is absolutely wonderful, and I'm excited to hear more stories from her. But I wanted you to come on in so you can be here to hear them as well. But before I bring her in, did you have anything you want to share with everybody tonight?
Hi, hello. How do you do? I want to say hello to you. Thank you for listening and watching to the TDC Today Community Show. What the mind can conceive and believe it will achieve. And mark my words, ladies and gentlemen, what we're achieving here at the Disability Channel is something that's been needed since the beginning of humankind. Jay Stoyan is a champion in the history of 175 billion people. So we're disrupting the marketplace, folks, and we've got the marketplace disruptors to do it with us. And the last week has been just absolutely phenomenal. We're enjoying our adventures over on Sirius XM Radio. And Jay Stoyan is having tons of fun, interviewing just amazing guests, and it's it's only going to get better, folks. You would not believe who Jay Stoyan is talking to and is going to bring forward, immediate future content, because February, the month of love, you're just going to feel this love coming all throughout the Disability Channel with your home TV and just everything we're doing here with the Invictus Games and with the Super Bowl, and then we've got a big event on February 2nd. So we encourage everybody through the next couple weeks of January to hop onto the website, thedisabilitychannel.ca. If you're not familiar with our Facebook presence, get on our Facebook. If you're not familiar with our Twitter or say x.com, get on there and follow us. This is what we've been needing, folks. Before I knew about the Disability Channel, I thought I had to create such a thing. I was thinking something like this had to be done because we do what we do with the radio show. Apparently, Edie's a radio show celebrity. So, we got all sorts of stuff going on here. We're making all sorts of connections and media conglomerations. Alan's got us with a reality TV show producer, and it's just amazed me apart. Earlier today, I was on with our friend Ralph Brown, who's, doing that boat race around the world. And, he had me with a group of people that are talking about the millions and billions of dollars of earnings and all these principles in life. We're here to change lives, folks. So speaking of changing lives, I've got a sense here that the next person that's going to be talking is a life changer. So Sue, tell me more about this, Edie, and then let's get to Edie. It sounds like this is a no further ado situation.
Oh, I would agree. Thank you so much, Kurt. So Edie Raether, she is an effervescent catalyst who exudes wit, wisdom, energy, and enthusiasm. The Maestro of Motivation is known for her high content keynotes that provide power tools to optimize performance. A change strategist and brain trainer, Edie gets to the root of productivity problems with mind mastery methods that challenge the way you think to accelerate innovation and to revolutionize work. Edie is absolutely amazing. I have had the pleasure of getting to know her this evening, and I am so privileged to have you here with us tonight, Edie. Come on in and say hello to everyone.
It's so good to be here. And I see I've got an unstable connection, but you can hear me, right?
You're good.
I'm
I
good.
see it now.
Okay, sounds good.
Welcome.
We had
So glad
fun at
you're
the
here.
last show, so we'll see
Oh
what
my gosh.
happens here. I'm ready to rock. Ready to rock.
Awesome. Well, I know you've had some TED Talks, you've written some books. I wonder if you could introduce us to some of those things that the people would be able to find you through some of those things that you've done.
Well, my first TEDx talk is Brain Fitness for Kids, Cloning the DNA of Einstein. And I reveal all of the neuropsychology in that talk that's woven, and I think I showed it before, into a complete system of thinking for kids. And the question I always ask is, what is the difference between you and Oprah Winfrey and you and Albert Einstein? And it's one thing. It's how you think. And I help people think bigger, better, to bounce back big. And so, all of the people I mentioned, Sue, in the previous program, that in my book, Winning, How Winners Think What Champions Do, I'm looking for the secret formula. What do they all share in common? And they all had this spontaneous flash of greatness between the ages of 3 and 9. And, Oprah, when she was 5 years old, looks at a TV and says, I can do that. And I thought, what about the millions of children that live and die and never sing their song? They die with the music in them. So I created a program where I instill, where they uncover their inner genius, develop their potential, and sing their song. Yeah. And then my more recent TEDx talk is AI and digital dopamine making us dumb. And as I mentioned before, it is. It is. And I was telling Sue that I'm in my 80s and IQs average in my age group, almost 15 points higher than kids growing up today. So I talk in the second TEDx talk, is AI and digital dopamine making us dumb? And yeah, kids are getting dopamine one way. I got dopamine from water skiing, playing croquet, playing tennis. I don't see any of that. I live on a lake. None of the kids, they sit on floaties. These things, they're not swimming, they're not moving. They all sit with these little, what are they, styrofoam tubes or something? And wait a minute, I'm 60 years older than you are. Move your body. They don't. And they're just, so I got dopamine a different way. So that's why at 80, I'm still skiing and doing stuff that 20-year-olds aren't doing. And that's kind of scary to me. So, and even I talk about workplace productivity. Workplace productivity has taken its biggest drop in 75 years because the brain is like a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. We're losing it. And it's scary. It's pretty scary, actually.
I know you've had also the privilege of having keynote addresses in a lot of places. You want to tell us a little bit about where you've all been? And I'm so glad that you have the chance to be here with us too, and we're getting to the privilege of
well,
gleaming
and a lot of them, because I lived in Wisconsin my first 50 years. I've done thousands and thousands of organizations, associations, and the rehab groups and stuff. Because I think I told you my bachelor's from the University of Wisconsin is in occupational therapy. So I was on the forefront in the 60s when I was in school there as an OT. We were promoting the whole thing for disabilities, putting in elevators, making sidewalks, making things accessible for wheelchairs in the bathrooms, making the wider. That's our generation, honey. Pat me on the back for that.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah. So I get that. And, one of the things I was talking to Sue about in the previous podcast is, the greatest limitation. So I've worked with people with limitations, but the only real limitation are the limitations in your mind. It's limiting beliefs. That's the only real disability. I have worked with quadriplegics that I remember they couldn't move now they've got AI working on stuff, not 50, 60 years ago. But they would have a mouth brush, and the most beautiful painting I've ever seen was painted with a mouth brush with somebody who was quadriplegic. So I really like my occupational therapy roots because we were about wellness and holistic health before that word came out. It was giving people the dignity, a sense of purpose, a meaning, a mission, accomplishing something. And we get our dopamine that way. I'm very focused on dopamine, as I said before. It's scary to me, but in my last TEDx talk on dopamine, I got to tell you, you can do the brain scan of somebody that just had a hit of crack, cocaine, or heroin, and compare it to the brain scan of a child that has too much screen time. And the brain scans are very similar. We are doing brain damage. That's one of the reasons IQs are down. And yet many parents use this as a babysitter, and many parents are on this instead of parenting their kids. So I have a real concern about that, because that's the only way they know how to get dope. You can't take it away. I'm a therapist. I counsel kids that have an absolute tantrum when they're doing a video game or something, the parent walks by. The addiction is that great. And so I'm on a mission before I leave this earth to try to get some of that turned around. And because when I was 8 years old, I said, I'm going to make the world a better place than I found it. And sometimes I watch the news and think, I have failed deeply. I have so failed. But, I think of people with disabilities, and I told you, like Pete Strudwick, as a motivational speaker, I know a lot of other motivational speakers, and they focus on their disabilities. I'll just tell you about W. Mitchell, because I did ride a motorcycle until 3 times in 1 month we spoke on the same stage all over the country, and I'm like, God is speaking to me. But W. Mitchell was riding his motorcycle, and it slid under an 18-wheeler, and he could actually see his fingers melting. That's not real cool. Not expected to live, was in rehab, did. Human spirit, will, he wasn't ready to die. Okay, he overcomes. He gets out months later, gets in a 1-engine plane. He can, not a motorcycle, but he can still do a plane. He gets in 1 engine, the 1 engine goes out. You think you've had a bad hair day? Talk to W. Mitchell. This is not good. His plane crashes. And now he is a paraplegic as well. But in his story, he says, you know what, before I used to be able to do 10,000 things. Now I can only do 9,000. But I'm a better person. I appreciate the 9,000. I'm so aware, so conscious. I savor the 9,000 things I can still do. So we always need to do that. And I kind of did that. Do you want me to share my story too? Do you want my story?
Yeah, please do. I would love to have that here.
Would you? Okay. And so I was telling Sue all of the different stories of people that I had interviewed in my book, Winning, How Winners Think What Champions Do. But I have to share a little bit about mine. I lived my first 50 years in Wisconsin, 20 in Green Bay, 10 Milwaukee, got cold, came down to North Carolina. Not much warmer here. But anyway, so I was in my late 50s, I think, when I came down here. And then I met this guy. Didn't know that he was a felon. He had just been pardoned from jail. Ooh, but he was smooth. How many of you have been taken by those cons? They say what you want to hear, right? They are smooth. They whine you. They dine you. And I fell for it all. I drank the Kool-Aid. And I had done very well as a speaker and a psychotherapist in Wisconsin. As a single parent, I had made millions. And that was back 50 years ago. But I worked my buns off. Nobody gave me a dang dime. I go down there and he sells me. I know on one sheet I saw 36 lots. I think totally it was over 40 lots. None of them had houses, so there was no rental income. I watched my life savings over 8 years. I was losing like 22,000 every month. I would rather, like a Band-Aid, have it ripped off and then you adjust. But every month, it was like a sinking ship and there was no plug. And I'm surprised it didn't kill me. I really am. But resilience is a part of it. And then later I found out, I mean, he was the mayor of Camp Lejeune's, Jacksonville. He's now on the Drug and Alcohol Council for our governor. And but the good old boys, he got pardoned because his daddy's a senator. But anyway, so I lost everything. I didn't have a dime. But I had a German Lutheran mother. My dad is Bohemian. They were actually a little more fun. But my mother was a German Lutheran. They are. We dance, eat, drink, and be merry. And my mother was, you got to save your money. That was a good lesson, right? You pay your bills. So with not a dime, and I had a mortgage of about $4,000 a month, I never missed a one. But I was on Match.com. I would meet guys in bars. This is no lie. I would meet guys and they would loan me. One guy loaned me $7,000, $8,000. I would pay. They all got paid back. But can you believe that? Meeting a woman in a bar one time and handing over thousands of dollars? Is this nuts? But I am honest. You can trust me. Yeah, you can trust me. And so anyway, the bottom line is I went from what Home and Garden channel called a mansion. It's pretentious to say that, but it was pretty cool path. I went totally homeless. I had no running water, no flushing toilets, nothing. I was telling Sue, I had a pail from the Dollar Tree. I had $1, so I had a commode. That was it. And I would empty it in a porta potty because there's always somebody building down the road. So I went from that to no electricity, for 15 months. I would bathe in the lake, and I had, there was an electric pole outside. I would warm up a little water in a frying pan. But you know what? I looked at it as just an inconvenience because I always had hope. I knew I was going to get what I wanted. And I live on I got one of the best views on the lake. I had that. I didn't have a home. I didn't have a toilet. I didn't have a shower. I didn't have anyone. But I have one of the best views. And my mother always said, grow where you're planted. She said, look at the bright side. I got it all. I didn't feel like I was a victim. I was the luckiest person on earth. I mean, who needs to bathe every day, right? And so grow where you're planted. I wrote 7 books. Everything was in storage. I didn't know what I was going to do. I got to do something. So I found meaning and purpose and passion. So wherever you are, look at what you can do from that vantage point to make it happen. And now you know the rest of the story. I'm doing just fine. That's all it takes. But I never gave up. It's about resilience. It's about never quitting. I do visualization. I have my own, every day, my mantras. I would mix it with prayers. But there was never a doubt. Can I just tell one more story? I want to tell the story about, what's her name? Hughes, Sarah Hughes, because this fits in with it. Sarah Hughes is in my book. When she was 16, she went to the Olympics. She won. And you know what? Immediately after, they had a video of Sarah, and she has a fake medallion around her neck. She's 5 years old. They expected her to win. You got to have positive expectations. If you don't know what you want, you're never going to get there. You got to be clear on it. Your mind can only be positive or negative at one time. And it's like a garden. If you take out the weeds and you don't plant the good seeds, the weeds are going to come back. If you have nothing, and that's conscious choice, if you have nothing but positive thoughts, dreams, visions, possibility thinking, there's no room for doubt. They both will grow like a cancer, but you get to choose. It's like a vase. It's like a vessel. You get to pour in the juice that you want. And so they expected her to win. They were all prepared to show this video. She says, 5 years old, Sarah says, when I grow up, I'm going to go to the Olympics and I'm going to get me a gold medal. I can hardly wait for it to happen. Dissect that. What did she say? She didn't compromise. She said, I'm going for the gold. She had no doubt. She said, I can hardly wait for it to happen. That's how you got to visualize. What the mind sees, the body believes. But you got to see it as though it has already happened and be grateful. And don't compromise. She went for the gold. She knew it was going to happen. And the rest is history. And that is how you live your life. You manifest. And you never quit. Okay, I'll shut up.
No, that nails it. That is words to live by for everybody. Everybody needs that message because what a difference.
Well, and I told you, Sue, I'm planning, I don't have time to write another book, but I got a ghostwriter. There's 2 that want to work with me. And it's going to be Trust No One, Love Everyone. And it's going to be he likes it. Alan,
Yep.
You like it? Helen, that's funny. You just erupted. They like it.
Well, that is I don't want to butt in. I'm taking all these notes and everything. No, that is actually my mantra. You said 2 things that really shook the core of the Today Show. You said, trust no one and love everyone. My platoon sergeant said that. He kind of, when I was U.S. Army 13 Bravo, from 87 and 90, I got out 3 days before the Gulf War started. It was, it's another story for another day. And then you mentioned the message that Joe Hawk from LinkedIn said, And he said, leave someone better than you found them. You murdered, but you twisted it and turned around. People know me. I don't believe in a coincidence. I love you, Edie, all the way from Southern California, North Carolina. Go ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, please step up to the stage. Miss Edie, if you don't buy her 8th book, big ump's coming out there. Miss Sue, Kurt, back to you, because I'm just taking notes and just learning.
No, this is good. And you know what's good about it? Because I grew up in the 50s in rural Wisconsin, Algoma, door-to-door counting. You could trust everybody then. I thought I was an reverse paranoid, that everybody was following me and ought to do me well. I really did. Everybody just loved me. And so I go out into the world, and if you promise me you're going to sell a lot every week for 5, I would never promise anybody that if I couldn't do it. I would not do that. So we project our frame of reference on others, but they may not be as ethical and have the integrity that we do, but we project it. That's a psychological fact. And that's how I lost it all. But you know what? I'm not bitter. I have to take responsibility, because if I blame, then I'm the victim. Then you know what? It's like playing basketball. If I blame somebody else, I'm giving them the ball, and they're the only ones that can score points. But when we take responsibility for what we mess up, we fess up, we're taking the ball in our hands, and we can start scoring points again. And that's the whole message. But we have to still love everyone, because if we don't forgive, we're not going to forget. I know my story. But if we don't forgive, we're going to be bitter, and we're giving our power to the villain. And I refuse to do that. Do you like that, Alan? You love it? He loves it. That's it. Okay, now I'm definitely going to write it. They wanted for a good.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm convinced.
Excellent.
Okay, you know what, Kurt, you're just sitting there with a grin. What do you have to say?
Well, this is great stuff, great perspectives on life. And, thinking back earlier in the show, and you mentioned about everything you did here with disabilities, and, right where Sue and I live in, in village of Lisbon here in Waukesha County. And so, yeah, there's a lot to be said for Wisconsin and North Carolina. I've got my aunt is over there,
Really?
Yeah.
Where about?
Pinehurst.
Oh, yeah, the golf community. Have you been there? It's cool. I've spoken there. They have conferences at the golf course. Yeah, it's cool. Well, you'll have to stop and see me on the way.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, sure. I can tell.
Gotta make plans to get down there.
Yeah. Now you have a reason. I've got 3 apartments in my house. Anybody want to come? Spring and fall gets a little chilly in Wisconsin. I've got 3 apartments. I got one of the best views on the lake. So welcome. But one of the talks that I have, I end with Eric Weinmayer. And I think he has such a good point. You guys remember Eric Weinmayer? He was the blind guy that climbed Mount Everest. Yeah. And I have a talk called Dopamine, the Maestro of Motivation, Performance, and Productivity. And, people asked him, why did you do this? It wasn't fun. I mean, it's blistering cold. He can't see. He's taking a chance on his life because so many have died and they can see. And when they asked him, why did you climb? What? You're blind. When you get to the top, you can't see the view anyhow. And he said, it's not about the view. It's about becoming more than you ever thought you could be. It's exceeding yourself. It's the challenge. He got his dopamine from the challenge instead of this. He couldn't see the phone, fortunately. But I love that message. It's just, that is the biggest dopamine fix. And when I wrote Winning, that was the common thing. It's doing the best that you can. You don't have to be the best. You never want to be the best. It's like art. You know what I mean? Is that the best? Depends on what you like. And you know what? There's always going to be somebody better. So that's going to make you feel good, huh? But just do the best you can do and the best you can be. And I will tell you, I do like my Wisconsin roots. I don't like the weather in January. I love my Wisconsin roots because these were things my parents said. They didn't care if I went to college. They really did. They wanted me to do the best I could do. And I could do college. So you did it. So nobody was pushing me. Nobody was shoving me. That one message is just be the best you can be. And you know, I end that book. You're going to like this. I end the book with Lakota Sioux. And we have Native American Indians there. And it's, listen, my children, for when you were born, you cried and the world rejoiced. But may you live your life so when you die, they cry and you rejoice. Powerful, isn't it?
It is. Oh, gosh, Edie, it has been such an amazing pleasure having you with us. I actually want to make sure that you can share out, how do people find more on what you've done and how do they reach out to you?
Well, you know what? To be real honest, I would like to get back to Wisconsin more often because all my brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews are back there. And I have done thousands of programs there, but I've been on 5 continents. Singapore was the last place. And Edie at Raether.com is my email, just my name if you have it, EDIE at RAETHER.com. Or 704, I'm auditory, 704-658-8997. And the speaking site is EdieRaether.com, or just Raether.com. And then if you're interested in the Wings for Wishes, and I'm not selling anything, I'm giving it away when I get these grants. So you got to watch your language. If I say, if I get these grants, there's a bit of doubt. No, when I get the grant from Kellogg, it's $200,000, we're going to get it. Then I can provide. So if you care about kids, if you're in any organization, let me know, because I'm looking for recipients where I can give this away, I wrote a book on bullying. I can speak on bullying at your school and provide all of these service for teens. I have a program, Flying High, Rising Above, but it's all on mindset mastery and upgrading your mental software so that you become unstoppable, which, Sue, is my new keynote, unstoppable. If you can't walk, dance. And I love it because with disabilities, it is rising above. If you can't walk, you know what? I remember it was in Madison, Wisconsin, when I was just thinking about being a speaker. I saw Susie, what's her name? She died recently at almost 100. But I remember she gave the story, and they were quite poor. And she said something about not having shoes, and her mother said, but you've got feet. And so we always have to look at what is, not what is not, because that will bring more. That's why gratitude is so important, because when you're grateful, I mean, when I didn't have a house, I was thanking God for my house. I didn't have one, but that tricks your brain into finding a way to get it, right? It activates the circuits in the brain that will bring it to you, because life is an energy exchanging process. It's all energy. It's the laws of attraction and much more. But yeah, that's how it works. So it's unstoppable. If you can't walk, dance. And the subtitle is Turning Tragedy into Triumph to Bounce Back Big. And with resilience and a positive belief and my mother's mantra, look at the bright side. And I know she always said, it could be worse. You know what? If you've got a cold, somebody else has cancer, and that's going to make you dance.
So powerful. I've just been soaking in all the wonderful things.
I want to get back to Wisconsin. I'm ready to get on the plane, but not in January.
Not in January. Yeah, it's a little chilly right now. Oh, this truly has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us, Edie. And this is great. Kurt, Alan, you guys are always here, always loving it. You guys are amazing. Edie, we would love to have you back again sometime here. We should be introducing you around to some friends that we have, because your message, it needs to be shared.
Yeah, so, and I'm here to share. The stage is my home. It really is. So Make it one in Wisconsin. I like the people there. I am biased. My grant writer is from Michigan. I do like that whole, I just, oh, I shouldn't say that. Alan's in California. Oh, Alan. Midwesterners are pretty cool. You'll get with it. Okay.
He's an honorary one. You know,
He's an honorary one. You're one of us. Yes. It's been a joy and hope to talk to you all soon.
Excellent. Well, for all of us here with the Disability Channel and with the TDC